Oh my gosh. Was this episode so painful to watch? I have never been so hard pressed in turning off a show in such a long time. Not since the live action of Cowboy Bebop has it been this hard to shut off a show. This was not good at all. Number one, it made Wong look more inept than he's ever been. And it's kind of messed up that in No Way Home, that somehow Doctor Strange ended up losing his title when he's done nothing wrong. But the guy you chose not only committed a crime, but acted like a complete stooge the entire time. Just because he's a sorcerer does not mean he doesn't have any freaking common sense. Seriously? They're gonna make him that dumb? And you know what the funny thing is? Wong has a social media account. That's the one thing I was like, looking, you are a sorcerer supreme. You're supposed to be separate from all that. What is this? And it was, oh my gosh, this was just so painfully bad. And then for the whole vignette they had with like interviewing people for social media and saying, you know, I can't believe they gave this to a woman. Who talks like that now? No one talks like that. I am so sick of the ridiculous male caricatures that these women writers make these men to be. No one acts like that. No freaking one. I have never been so annoyed in my life over these ridiculous gender-based woke politics that shouldn't be on my screen. I have never been so annoyed in my life. This show had a potential to be good. And it just didn't work. With the whole idea of Abomination being able to control his powers, that should have been something the judge should have looking at. Not caring how he was going to finance it, because it has nothing to do with the case. The stupidity of this entire series. I spent my entire time raging about this. I spent my entire time raging about this episode. The fact that Megan the freaking Stallion, don't get it twisted, I love Megan the Stallion as much as the next person, but there was really no reason for a cameo here. None whatsoever. None. It's bad enough you have Wong, and Wong is an inept sorcerer that somehow didn't know he was breaking the law. You got Megan the Stallion that was disguised. Okay, number one, if I don't hear anybody raging over the fact that you got a pasty wife elf from Asgard that actually pretended to be Megan the Stallion, I'm like, y'all don't need to say nothing about any type of racial politics or whatever. Y'all don't need to say nothing if y'all don't rage about that. I was more floored and laughing and also like scratching my head on why in the blue hell that they chose Megan the Stallion to be the person to pick. I know she's the hottest woman on the planet. I know everybody wants to see her. I know everybody wants to know everything about her right now. But come on. You're going to get an elf to transform into her? Really? It's laughable. She's bigger than this. Way bigger than this. But the fact is, the entire show in itself was just dumb. It made no sense whatsoever. The whole Abomination thing, the fact that he's a pacifist, the fact that he rehabilitated all the soldiers, had them make toilet kombucha instead of toilet wine, and he rehabilitated. The more that I talk about this, the more I have to laugh. Oh my gosh, I know my filter's off, but I can't for this episode. This episode was so ridiculously bad. It was just so ridiculously bad. And I'm sorry, Jen's friend sucks. She's the worst friend on the planet. I would never have a friend like her. Like, ever. Oh gosh, it just seems like all the rage I had just turned into laughter because it's just that stupid. This show was dumb. It really is. I don't think I'm going to even bother to continue watching any more of this crap. And people are like, oh, it's going to get better on the 5th episode. It should be better on the 1st. Nobody needs to endure this. Because the more that you do, the more crap they're going to make. Y'all need to shut it off at the first screen. I actually had hope for this series. I actually thought it was going to be decent. I don't know much about She-Hulk, but I know fans of She-Hulk probably are not liking the show right now. But I'm going to say this. Just because you have a bunch of women writing stuff or writing a show, don't mean it's always good. And it shows right here. My first actual proof of that is definitely Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins did an amazing job doing the first Wonder Woman. The second one was questionable, but the first one was really good. She made it balanced. She made Stephen Trevor not to be in the way. They actually worked together. It was well balanced. So it shows that women do have skills. That there are some women that know how to write a good story. And also the one thing that infuriated me the most at first was definitely the comedy. The comedy is really what messes a lot of things up. And I know a lot of people have been complaining about Marvel's comedy for a very long time. And there's a reason for it. It really does take away a lot from the story. It takes away the seriousness. It takes away growth. It takes away a lot. You can be serious and then insert comedy where it needs to be. My prime example for that is Thor the Dark World. I'm not a fan of anything Thor, but I'm actually a fan of Thor the Dark World after watching it with Irvin. That's something I'm going to defend to the very end. Because to be honest with you, it was the most growth I've ever seen out of Loki. It was the most growth I've ever seen out of Thor. You saw the trials that Thor had to go through on his home planet. Thank God they left Earth and left the Earthlings behind because they were a waste of space. And yeah, of course, you have Jane Foster, in my opinion, who never deserved to be there. But the fact is, she only played a side role, which she needed to be. She played a supporting role, which she needed to stay as. The thing is, that movie had far more growth, had far more substance, and even when it came to the comedy, it was inserted in the right places, far more than this show. Far better than this show. And the one thing that kind of infuriated me, and I don't know if anybody's a Doctor Who fan, but when it comes to anything supernatural, you would think they'd be more prepared. When it comes to an elf from Asgard, you think you would be more prepared from her shape-shifting magic. You think that you will be aware or have your staff trained on how to spot a changeling. Because I'm going to use this example here. I'm going to use Torchwood as an example. For those who actually have seen the Doctor Who series, I'm not talking about the separate series for Torchwood. I have not seen it, but one day I'm going to go back and watch it. When it comes to Torchwood and Doctor Who, Torchwood was created by Queen Victoria when Doctor Who went back in time with Rose and they encountered a werewolf. And at that time, Queen Victoria was pretty much suspicious on anything supernatural. She was practically xenophobic when it came to anything supernatural. So she created Torchwood out of her fear. Torchwood lasted for hundreds of years. And modern day, anybody that works in Torchwood had to be trained in knowing how to spot someone who is not from our dimension, who is not from our planet, and who actually has supernatural powers. They were trained to know how to read psychic paper. They were trained on how to use psychic paper. They were trained on not to be influenced by mind control. They were set up for success when it came to not being invaded and absolutely knowing who's not supposed to be there. They had the technology to do it. I mean, shoot, they actually shot, I think it was an episode when we actually had David Tennant return. And actually, they actually had the weapons to shoot an alien ship out of the sky. They were well prepared. You would think a superhuman agency or a superhuman sect of an actual agency would know how to spot a metahuman or someone from a different planet. You would think they would be well prepared. That lawyer pug that actually got fooled by that Asgardian elf, you would think someone who actually works in a place that is full of people who are not human would know how to spot that. That bothered me as well. That bothered me the most. To be honest, there are so many flaws in this show, and I really wanted to find something positive about it. But good Lord, this is bad. This is so bad. I can't even recommend anybody to continue this. Like, seriously, if you guys are sadistic and you really do want to plow through a show just as dry and as, I'm not even going to say boring. I'm just going to say that this show makes no sense whatsoever. It's insulting to men. It definitely puts women on a very, very high pedestal that they can't even reach. Everyone's a caricature of themselves. Things are not taken seriously because the comedy is way too high. And everybody that they created, all the characters that were in previous Marvel phases are now inept. I can't recommend this show for anyone unless you guys are really diehard and just watching this and just continuing all the way through. But here's the issue with that. If y'all keep accepting trash like this, more trash is going to develop. More trash is going to be pushed out. I would never support anything like this, because if you guys want quality, y'all got to demand it. If y'all want quality, a good story arcs, good planning, actually things that make sense and that actually is canon to the previous shows, y'all gotta demand that by not accepting garbage like this. And I know not everybody is gonna feel the same way, but I'm sorry. They planned this whole thing out and you would think they would do better. But after seeing episode 3, I'm officially done.